Hello, my name is Brian Lee. This is episode 1, and I'm going to be talking about why I got into ghost hunting, what made it happen. A little bit of backstory. I grew up in Toledo, Ohio, with my mom and father. They were both big-time Christians, and we went to church on Sundays. At the age of 19, my dad passed away from a heart attack, and I started questioning about God because he never drank, he never smoked, he never did drugs. He worked his butt off for his family. He did everything right, hardcore Christian, and I never understood why God took him from us so early. A few years after that, I pretty much became atheist. I lost faith in God because if there was God, why did he take him? That's how I thought back then. Probably a few years later after my dad passed away, a coworker, Josh, from where I worked at Pep Boys in Toledo, he asked me what I was doing after work, and I said nothing. So he invited me to come with him to a place up in Erie, Michigan, to go fishing right on Lake Erie, have a few beers, and possibly just start a bonfire on the beach and just chill and chit-chat and fish and drink beer. I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? So after work, we went up there. It was in Erie, Michigan, 5 minutes from the Ohio-Michigan state line. It was pretty much like 10 minutes from my house at the time. So we went up there, did some fishing, drank some beers, chit-chat. So after we were done fishing, we explored through the woods there. There was a lot of woods. I think the nearest house was probably a couple miles from this place. And we found some foundations of, look like structures, buildings of some sort. We did find what's left of a playground, had like a swing set, A-frame, and a jungle gym, and some handlebars, I believe, if I remember correctly, which it was buried in the woods, trees growing through them. So it's been there for quite some time. While I was there, I had an odd feeling that somebody was looking at us or following us. And I kept on getting like a vision in my head while I'm trying to see in the dark at this place. I kept on seeing like a little girl in a nightgown. Her skin was like blue, looked like she didn't like sleep for days. And she was, she had like wet hair. That's how I felt when I was there. We were there quite some time. After probably about 3-4 hours there, we decided to go back to Toledo, get a bite to eat at Frisch's. And while we were waiting for our food, he asked me what did I think of the place. And I told him how I felt, and it was creepy, and it felt like somebody was watching me and following us when we were walking through the woods. The hairs on my arms standing on end. It was really creepy feeling, and I've never experienced that before. And that's when he told me the place used to be an orphanage campground back in the 50s, and it's haunted by ghosts, by some kid ghosts, like 2 or 3 of them, he said, I believe. And the reason why he didn't tell me it was haunted before or while we were there is he thought if he told me it was haunted right off the bat, and we were there, my mind would start, being too observant and make speculations at everything. He wanted to see my reaction without knowing. So I told a couple of my friends of this place, and we went back there a week or 2 later to check it out during the day. And when we first started walking on the trail, which I did not see when I was there with Josh, with a bunch of overgrown, bushes and trees, there was a huge iron gate that said Camp Lady of the Lake. So we explored. I found the playground again, and I found what looked to be a long rectangle building foundation. Looked like it was on stilts to keep it probably about a good foot and a half off the ground. And there was 2 staircases in the front facing the lake, and there was a back staircase with a pipe railing. We didn't see any pieces of the building, just the foundation. We found a concrete slab right on the beach that also looked like a foundation of some sort. And when the sun started setting, we also started a bonfire on the beach. I was getting that funny feeling again, and we were hearing things in the woods. So after visiting this place a couple times, I decided to buy a voice recorder to try to capture some EVPs. And I had already a night vision video camera. So we visit there almost every week for a long time. And we did get some what sounded like voices on the voice recorder. Now, remind you, before I went to Camp Lady Lake, I was a skeptic of ghosts. And after getting some EVPs and some voices on the voice recorder, remind you, this is before digital recorders. This was like little answer machine cassette tapes recorders. I think I got it from Radio. It was a Radio Shack brand. We never did get anything on video there, but we did get a lot of audio. Now, the biggest and most kind of terrifying, but biggest evidence of the EVP we got from the place was we went up there in the middle of the week. It was like a Tuesday or Wednesday. It was in February. We went through the trail to go place the voice recorder and leave it there the entire night. Now, this voice recorder had voice activated recording, so it would only record if it hears a certain sound above a certain decibel. And since it was winter and I was worried about my voice recorder being damaged, we put the voice recorder in a Ziploc bag, and I had a pair of portable Sony speakers. We tried it out, plugged it in the microphone, and the speakers did work as a microphone. So we put the voice recorder in a Ziploc bag, leaving the cord coming out to leave the speakers outside. And we hung the voice recorder from the swing set A-frame. Now, I'm going to remind you, this is February, 6 inches of snow on the ground. So we walked up to the beach, up to the point where the playground is in the woods. I alone went up to the swing set, placed the voice recorder on the swing set, and walked back. And we went home that night. This was probably I'm going to say a 10 or 11 o'clock at night. Now, the next morning, having the day off, Steve and I went up there probably 10 o'clock in the morning to go pick up the voice recorder. Now, when we went to the beach, roughly where the playground was in the woods, we both noted you only saw my footprints going up to the voice recorder and the footsteps going back to the beach. The whole time we were there from parking lot to swing set, we only saw our footprints. It didn't look like anybody else was there. The battery was dead. It kept on recording until the battery died. Who knows when that was. And when we got back home, put a fresh set of batteries in it, we played it back. I would say this is the greatest EVP I have ever got to this day. As we're playing the tape recorder back, you can hear the wind. You can hear it picked up some clashing of the waves. And a little bit into it, all of a sudden we heard kids laughing and talking and screaming. It sounded like a group of kids at a playground. Clear as day. No doubt about it. It's like a recording of kids at a park. And this audio of kids playing lasted, if I remember correctly, 4 to 5 minutes long straight. And near the end of the 5 minutes of recording of kids, you hear this little boy, and his voice sounded slightly distorted. And out of the blue, crystal clear, he says, "We're all gonna die again." Me and Steve and his girlfriend at the time all looked at each other like, what the hell? What do you mean we're all gonna die again? So if this is voices of the dead, why would they say we're all gonna die again? Somehow we found out this old orphanage campground used to be owned by the Catholic church downtown Toledo. We called them up and asked if it was possible for us to look through their archives, and they said yes. When we arrived there, they asked, is there anything in particular we were looking for? I'm like, yes, you guys used to own a campground up in Michigan called Camp Lady Lake. We just wanted to see what you have on that because we're interested in the area when we were scouting through. We did find some information in the archives. We found some news clippings showing pictures of kids playing on the beach. And we actually saw a picture of the mess hall. It was labeled underneath the picture of the mess hall. And it's a very long rectangle building built above the ground. And it had two front staircases. We couldn't see the back staircase. So I think the structure that we saw in the middle of the woods was the mess hall. And I do believe the concrete slab that is now almost touching the water used to be the house that housed the two priests that lived on the campground and the nuns. At that point, I started really believing ghosts because the stuff we were experiencing there, the stuff we were seeing with our eyes, and the things we were getting on audio recorder, sadly, we never got anything on video. We brought the video camera every time, and we never got anything on video. But out of all the evidence of going there for over a year, I started really thinking about ghosts. I started believing in ghosts. So now that I'm into ghost hunting, I found out a place down in Mansfield, Ohio, which is called the Ohio State Reformatory. So I looked into it, and they hosted overnight stays, max of 100 people allowed to go per night, to do ghost hunting in the dark at this old abandoned prison in Mansfield, Ohio. And my sister thought it was pretty cool. So we signed up. So we went. We actually got there a little late because this was before GPS, and we used MapQuest to find it, how to get there. And apparently my sister thought we were going in the right direction, and we ended up almost in Delaware, Ohio, pretty far off. So we got an Ohio map out and found Mansfield a little late. So we arrived there, I believe, at 7 p.m. We got an hour tour of the place with the lights on. And after our hour tour, they're like, okay, have fun. And they turned off all the lights. Now, grant you, there's 100 people in this building. So it was really hard to do EVPs with 100 people talking at this prison. But it was really fun. And it was creepy, too, with our flashlights, night vision cameras. And I had my voice recorder. And this time I had a digital voice recorder when I went to this place. As we're exploring the Ohio State Reformatory, it was probably roughly midnight or 1 o'clock. We stepped outside to have a cigarette. And when we did, we noticed there was only 3 cars left in the parking lot. 2 of them are ours. So there was only one more group other than us still there. So to make it easy for a good EVP with no noise, contamination, we decided to take note where the last group was, and we would do the opposite wing because there was a east and a west wing, and the warden's quarters separated the 2 wings. So when we noticed that the group was in the east wing, we ventured in the west. So about 7 o'clock in the morning, it was time to go home. We were pretty tired, and at that time we lived in Toledo, so that was an hour and a half drive back to Toledo, and we've been up all night. So we went home. When I woke up the next morning, I downloaded the digital audio files to my computer and ran it through Adobe Audition. And for a few hours, I played back the audio with my headphones on and made markers every time I heard something. And I got a lot of voices. And while we were there, we did not hear these voices, but the audio recorder did pick them up. We got get out of here now, a lot of get outs. We had a ghost arguing with another ghost. We had a ghost saying, get the belt key, so it sounded like somebody says, get the belt key, like a guard's keys that is on their belt. I became obsessed with this place. I would visit there during the day at least twice a summer. And it's been a while since I did a night hunt, and I kind of anxious to do another one because I think last time I was there was 2012. I think my daughter was only 1 at the time. So a few years later, I did another night hunt with my sister. At that time, I live in a little town, Bellevue, Ohio, which is in the middle of mid-upper Ohio. And we did a ghost hunt there again. We got a lot more audio on it, clear as day. And at that time, I was married. We rented a house on Center Street. And that house was built very early 1900s. And me, My wife at the time, her 2 boys, including my daughter, have experienced a lot of things in this house, including my daughter, which was 1 year old. She would stand up in her crib, facing and trying to grab for the corner of the bedroom, which nothing was there. There wasn't even anything hanging on the wall in that corner. And she would talk to the corner like she could see something. Throughout of the stay of this house on Center Street, we all saw a dark shadow figure from time to time. It wasn't a lot, but it did show itself from time to time. And I know everybody saw it because we'll be watching TV in the living room, see the dark shadow walking in the dining room. And when I saw it, I saw everybody's head turn in the same direction I'm looking. So I know everybody saw it. And now here it is. Last year, my 13-year-old daughter is into ghost hunting now. Since she's into ghost hunting, we've been watching a couple shows on YouTube. We've been watching our favorite, which is Nuke's Top 5, which is a Nuke would find ghost videos caught on camera, like CCTV cameras. And when he finds some good ones, he'll put a whole show together to show a bunch of them all at once. And every time a new one comes out, I don't watch it until I have my daughter. And we would sit there and watch it again. And my daughter's really into scary movies. And she's really into ghost hunting. So one time we took a spirit box and a voice audio recorder to Bellevue's cemetery. She wanted to be in charge. So she used the spirit box. She asked the questions. And she asked, "Can you tell me your name of who's here?" And right off the bat, it named probably, I want to say 3 to 5 names right off the bat. But she was saying that could be a coincidence. A name was popping through the radio stations, because what a spirit box does is it cycles through many radio stations per second. And she's right. It could be a coincidence after she asked that question. So she asked another question. "Do you know our names?" And right off the bat, it said, "Ellie, Brian." She was hooked after that. She's been dying to go to a night haunt somewhere. And I looked into it. She has to be 18 to do a night haunt at the Ohio State Reformatory. And I kept on digging to see if I can find any other place. I ended up finding a place in Pennsylvania, right over the Ohio-Pennsylvania line in, I think it's Newcastle, Pennsylvania. It's an abandoned insane asylum, which I still to this day have not been to an insane asylum. I'm not sure what it was called when it was open. But when I just did some digging, they have a public hunt. So we would be in the building with 50 other strangers. And since they're strangers, my daughter would have to be 18. But if I book a private night haunt, so I would pay this bigger price and I can invite up to 10 people total. And since it's people I invited and people I know, she can be 13 because she won't be with strangers. So she's pretty stoked. So this coming up summer, we're hoping to try it. And hopefully it's not booked. I haven't looked yet. Because when I looked, 2025 schedule isn't out for making reservations yet. So we're going to be trying that. And if we do go, I will probably tell that story on here. And that's how I got into ghost hunting. And now I have my daughter into it with me. So I got a little buddy to go ghost hunting. That's all I've got for this episode. Please leave a comment. My show would be talking about a very broad of different things. So tonight was how I get into ghost hunting. I haven't picked what my next episode's going to talk about. It's going to be about anything that comes to my mind. So if you have a suggestion of what I should talk about, and I'm sorry, I don't do politics, so don't ask me to do a politic one, or write a comment of what you think, or how I can improve my show, or whatever you want to make a comment. Until again, bye.